For the five of you watching this, I appreciate it very much. I appreciate that you love stocks because, as you know, I love stocks. And so I don't really have anyone to talk to about all this stuff because no one really cares to spend 8 hours a day researching stocks and finding value. So these videos are a way of talking with myself about the research work I'm doing and the investment analysis thinking that I'm doing behind the scenes. So with what's going on in Iran, there's a lot of rumors around what's the potential true motivations of the USA. But the one that keep coming back to in my head is that we want to co-manage the Strait of Hormuz. And the reason why this would be important is because it gives the USA full control over global oil flows. It would essentially incentivize other countries to buy crude from the USA in West Texas, Oklahoma, rather than only buying the Middle East Brent, which prior to all this Iran stuff, the dominant global benchmark for 2/3 of how oil was priced was in the Middle East Brent oil. And that's because it's produced near shipping lanes. It's cheaper to transport. So for example, in the USA, when we get our oil from Oklahoma, we then have to send it through a pipeline all the way to the Gulf and then ship it out from there. So that's obviously more expensive. It adds time and cost. Here's the thing that's changed, though, and this is why I keep coming back to this theory. Even if we leave Iran tomorrow, there's still a clear risk for shipping. And so therefore, the logical counteract is safe shipping USA style. And that happens one of two ways. Either we end up co-controlling the Strait of Hormuz and we charge a protection tax or something of the sort, or we end up altering our export policies and then we ship even more oil and gas from the USA and also probably through Canada. This would be a great way to get a deal done with Canada where they benefit and our oil and gas industry benefits as well. Or both of those happen, and that's also a very viable option. But here's the problem from an investor standpoint. I don't know if this is going to happen. And if it doesn't happen, then I don't think there's probably any logical long-term story to buy Exxon. As a reminder, Exxon's had two of these oil shock wars in the last 5 years. So the stock's been doing amazing, but I'm a little worried it's a head fake unless this is an actual long-term thing that happens where the USA starts exporting a lot more of our oil. But I could be wrong. I could be very wrong. I have no idea. And so today we're going to cover Exxon's stock price, their momentum, financial performance, fundamentals, their cyclicality, their revenue inconsistency, balance sheet, debt management, macro factors, geopolitics, valuation, and investment strategy. We're going to do all that today. And we're going to both build a potential future of what we think could happen given probabilistic outcomes. And then at the same time, we're going to understand how and if Exxon, which by the way is the largest oil and gas company in the world, how it fits into all this. So, cha-ching, let's get started. Since January, it's gone up from 120 to 170, so $50, so 40% or something this year. It's obviously a staple, and it's at its 52-week range. It might also be, yep, it's at its all-time high ever since 1996. I would probably not know what to do with owning this company over the long term, but I love the momentum play. So this is such an obvious momentum play, but not a valuation play in my opinion. So that tells me this is very cyclical, obviously, because it's oil and gas. I mean, so just based on this inconsistency of their net income, I would probably not know what to do with owning this company over the long term. Earnings grew from 10-year to 5-year. Revenue per share and normalized diluted earnings per share really grew. They've obviously been using the money to buy back their stock at some point. Since 2022, they've bought back $15 billion every year. They have $570 billion worth of property. Wow. and their accumulated depreciation is 270. So they've written off almost half. So they're gonna have to buy new stuff. I'm sure they are. Their total debt's not growing, but their net debt is growing like crazy. So that means they're depleting their cash reserves. If they did issue another 10 billion or whatever, they're paying, 4.5 to 5% rates on that, which is 4 billion, which is probably like 10 to 20% of their net income. So that's a big deal. If we end up cooperating the Strait of Hormuz, we would probably be able to charge some sort of protection tax, and then we control the flow of oils globally. Exxon's had 2 oil shocks in the last 10 years. Russia, Ukraine, and Iran. That the narrative was against it. Right now, the narrative's with it. So it's a really likely trap, even though it feels like this is such a smart buy right now. So the question is, does this thing just permanently get repriced for the next decade to like 25 to 30 PE because we just are seeing risks more often? This thing's 26 PE based on operating income. That's actually way more reasonable. This not run in the last week? All right, so already I like Chevron more than Exxon. So I like this better because we can watch it. I bought it here, sold it here, bought it again here, sold it here. That's why I don't trade anymore. I suck at it. I just gotta fucking research, figure it out.